All right. Thanks for listening while we take that short break here at Revolution Radio Freedom6.com. Now, we're going to get back to your host.
Hello and welcome to Plato's Cave on Revolution Radio for Revolution.radio, coming to you from Australia live. On a whole bunch of platforms, which is great, but you can, of course, listen to us canned. If you do listen to us canned, try to make the chat and live next time. It's always fun. We're in there today. Who's in the chat? We got Memes is there. Wow, it's Or Green is there as well. Oh my God, Memes, there's some seriously disturbing pictures you posted of this dude. Hey, they. Omega Logos is here as well. Wonderful. This station is home to fresh ideas, and we don't really bow to censorship. There might be some self-censorship, certainly foul language is to be avoided. But more importantly, the station doesn't actually have to follow any agenda because it doesn't get funded by anyone but you, the listener. So if you can donate, please do. Any currency is good, including crypto. But if you can't donate, and that is getting more and more likely every day, please tell people about the station. Maybe wear a t-shirt. Maybe get a hat that says Shiny Side Out or Plato's Cave. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. I'd love to see it in the street. But, whatever floats your boat. So if you can tell people about it, that would be brilliant. If you can donate, that'd be even better. Today is the 19th of December, 2024, and it's going to be a very serious show. We'll get to it in a second. You can catch the cave on the air, on the line all the time, and on your smart device. So grab an app to listen anywhere, or listen at home on a Grace tabletop digital radio. But you can also listen to the archives, which are free. They're free. So if you missed this and you don't go to any other platforms, you just want to stay on the station, that's cool. You can go into the archives and listen to this show and any other show that you might like. Before we start broadcasting it in anger, and we will keep welcoming to country as a thing for Shiny Side Out and Plato's Cave, and I explain why we do that. We will keep it. We would like to acknowledge you, traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast, and for Dave.
It's the Dark and John.
Thank you, sir. For myself, the direct people, and we would like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. Thank you very much. Yes, it is serious. Plato's Cave. Plato's Cave was so named because Plato, in his cave allegory, portrays the world as a game of shadows, which is played, if you will, in front of a bound audience that doesn't know any better, until one of them escapes, discovers that he was in fact in a cave, finds an exit, goes into the real world, can't believe what's going on, goes back into the cave to tell his fellow prisoners, because that's what you have to call them, who don't believe him, and promptly beat him to death. And Plato used this as an allegory for our world. Movies like The Matrix have picked up on it and quite successfully made a really good first Matrix movie. None of the others needed to exist. Just the first one. That's it. Then it became the quest for more money. And this is what Plato's Cave is intended to do, to show you, to find a way for you to see deeper, to question more, to understand why something happens. Not that it happened. I mean, okay, it happened, but why? Why did it happen? Why did this happen? Why did the other thing happen? Why are we reacting in this fashion? And I do want to talk about the drones, Dave, because like you, I spent a whole bunch of my time on these drones. So the funny thing is this. This is a funny thing. I searched specifically for Dr. Stephen Greer and his opinion on the drones. Now, there's nothing he has actually said in the video. This is a commentary on his latest video. It's only about 17 minutes long, but in the commentary, well, he doesn't talk about it in the actual video. He does say this. Okay, this is what he says. In New Jersey, a strikingly clear image of a drone or more has been discovered. The film crew for ABC News were shocked by the appearance of this glowing energy orb of light in New Jersey. These are the ones that interest me more than the drones. And I want to say this here, because I've looked at a lot of footage, and I'm sure you have as well, Dave. Now, there are drones, no doubt that there are drones. And it is also clear that these drones are looking for something, and they're not just limited to the United States. They're found now all over the world.
That's right.
And in more often than not near U.S. military bases, but not exclusively, but there, certainly seems to be a prevalence of drones near there. But what is more important is the sighting of these orbs. Now, orbs have been around since the beginning of time. There's this amazing piece of footage that exists. And it's the only piece of footage I know that exists that shows what it does, which is essentially, it's part of a documentary, and you really have to look for it to find it. It's an orb that hovers over I want to say a wheat field, could be rye, I don't know.
Oh, that's right.
But as it hovers there, you can see the creation, sort of like a flash of light kind of thing. Not kind of, sort of, yeah. It's very, very mild flash of light, but all of a sudden you see the crop circle appear under the direction of the orb of light. Now, the orb of light has been seen everywhere. We've seen them for a long time. Skinwalker Ranch sees them all the time. UFO sightings, or UAP sightings as well. They usually you see these orbs. They could be any size really, and they move in any which direction. And it is now clear to me that these drones that we see are coinciding with the sighting of orbs. Now, are the drones trying to study the orbs? Are the orbs the reason the drones are there? Are the drones looking for something? Because a lot of people that are professional drone operators said that the way these drones fly, and fairly low as well, by the way, and they're looking for something. They're looking for something. It looks like they're looking for something. There have been a couple of spikes of radiation in New York City on both sides of the Hudson recently, in the last few days. Are they looking for nuclear weapons? Well, maybe, but then that would only explain the drone and orb appearance in one location, right? Be it New York, New Jersey, that would make sense then. But this is, of course, much more now. It's a global phenomenon. So you have the orbs that are appearing, drones that seem to be studying them or looking for something, and the White House, the Pentagon, local officials to some extent, and a whole bunch of other intelligence officers are saying, oh yeah, nothing to worry about. The drones are nothing to worry about. And then, of course, and this is something else that we mentioned last time, Dave, and you mentioned it, and I see it in all the news reports from all the experts that are being interviewed. How does the government know they're not dangerous? How do they know they have a benign agenda? And the answer is because they're the governments. That's the answer. The answer is they're the governments. They are their drones. They're looking for something, and I think they're also keeping tabs on the orbs. But more importantly, there is, and again, this is Plato's cave, right? And we don't hold back. There is this secret government, an unseen organization that exists across the globe, undefined by nations, completely irrelevant.
Not voted for.
Correct. Which is ahead of us technologically, in my opinion, probably 200 to 300 years. Looking at what they've done, what they've got, and the funny thing is this: at the turn of the century, the 1920s, also the 1940s, 50s, and then 60s, everybody's talking about anti-gravity and everybody's talking about 0-point energy, and there's a really great book called 0-Point Energy, which was written by a reporter for Jane's Defense Weekly, where he actually investigates over the course of 12 years this 0-point energy and goes to the skunk works, and he's convinced that we do already have anti-gravity technology at the very least, and we are making use of the 0-point field. There are inventions that have come about that tap into that energy. And there's a great documentary by Dr. Stephen Greer again. I think the lost 100 years, or no, it's called the lost century. If you haven't watched it, I do urge you to do it. Take a look at it. The lost century. We've lost 100 years, in my opinion, more of development. It's being kept by the parasites. I don't want to call them the elite. I never call them the elite anymore, because that confers a certain status to them, which I don't think they have. They're parasitic organisms, people, mind you, that are preying on us. And the reason they want to keep the way things are, they want to keep it in this way, is because it's worth hundreds of trillions of dollars to them. I mean, the power and wealth they have is unimaginable. The things they can do is unimaginable. Okay, all of the. I mean, what Elon Musk is doing is like a little boy playing in a sandbox next to Cape Canaveral, while the space shuttle is taking off, and he's building these little sandcastles. That's what we're talking about here. All right, Elon Musk is, and look, I'm not enamored with the guy, but he's trying to do things. Good on him. But it really is completely pointless. Okay, it's really so far beyond where we think we are that what he's doing. He's like the Wright brothers, Kitty Hawk, right? And there's an Apache attack helicopter taking off next to the Kitty Hawk. That's what we're doing. And this is really important to understand, because Dave, you know this, because you're interested in this stuff like I am. The mention of anti-gravity, the ether, now they're talking about quantum form again. You've seen that, right? The ether and 0-point energy, Tesla's wireless energy transmission, all of that stuff disappeared in the 50s and 60s. People talked about it a lot before that, right? But then all of a sudden
gets hoovered and there's nothing left. Yeah.
Radio silence. Now, imagine this. So everybody's pushing the electric car. I'm not a big fan for various reasons, toxic batteries, etc. But what if you didn't need batteries? Yeah. Because Tesla wanted to transmit energy wirelessly, just like radio. Think of energy transmission like radio, and we know it can be done. We know it can. We know this. It's a possibility. You know what the problem with that is? You can't meter it.
That's right.
You can't. And another problem is this: you don't actually have to generate 0-point energy. It's like this.
It's there already.
Yeah. Exactly. So
capture it.
In physics, and I had a really good physics teacher once, he explained electricity this way. Electricity is like a river. That's all it is, right? Think of it as a river. It's running through the copper wire. It just runs, yeah. But it has to be generated from somewhere. So something is pumping, that right. river around. Okay. So something is, and it's generating, that water, if you will, right? So that's the coal fireworks. It's the nuclear power plants, it's the solar power plants. But something is generating that river that is then flowing through your cables. In 0-point energy, the device let's call it the device that hooks into this 0-point field, and it's energy that is all around us. And I know this is really hard for people to understand, but there is no such thing as empty space. It doesn't exist. We have this concept of vacuum. We have this concept. It doesn't exist. Now, at the same time, it's also true that most of our existence is in fact empty space. Right? It's a contradiction in terms, but energy, which underlies everything, is everywhere. Right? Our expression of existence, which is a matter, right, is probably, think of ours as fog or foam. Yep. In our consistency. The only truly solid objects, and I've said this before, the only truly solid objects in our universe are black holes. And maybe neutron stars.
That's right.
That's it. There's nothing else that is solid. Everything else is very nebulous and foggy. That's what we are, right? And there's no real substance to us, other than spiritually, hopefully. But it is this 0-point energy that underlies the fabric of existence. That's where all energy comes from. That's where it's generated. Electrons popping in and out of existence. If you study a bit of quantum physics, you will have heard that electrons seem to be popping in and out of existence. In fact, there's a theory that says there's only one electron in the universe.
That's right. One.
Right? Now,
because they're all copies. They're all the same one.
Yeah. It's slightly different timestamps, right? And dimensional positioning. Now, that might be a bridge too far for many of you. That's okay, I get it. But this energy field is real. There have been devices created that could plug into it. Now, and this is why I urge you to watch The Lost Century by Dr. Stephen Greer. He's got a lot of evidence and a lot of he must have a huge organization supporting him, researching, etc. And he's got evidence for this technology, and he also, and this is where it becomes a cautionary tale, has evidence for the disappearance or death of the inventors. Now, if you're part of a cabal, let's call it the cabal, a parasitic cabal, that's worth, it's unimaginable. The wealth and power is unimaginable. There's nothing beyond you. If you're part of it, like think of John Wick's The Table. Everybody who sits at the table, nothing is beyond them, right? They can do whatever they want, anything. And if you threaten that, what do you think they would do?
Good luck with that.
Right? Oh, it's a Russian defenestration virus. Whoops. Yeah, but there's like 5 people that fell. Yeah, it's a big window. Okay.
Slippery floors and open windows.
but it was the ground floor. Yes, but it was a really rocky ground floor.
You fell up.
So you can see the seriousness of this. Mm-hmm. Now, what does this mean? This whole drone and orb thing? I don't know. I fear because this is on the cards, and believe it or not, Werner von Braun warned us about this. This might be Project Bluebeam, or start of it, where we, start a false flag operation, saying, okay, alien invasion, blah blah blah, whatever, and then martial law is declared, certain totalitarian powers come into force, global community unites. There could even be, dreadful attacks on the Earth, which would kill hundreds of millions potentially. I mean, who knows, right? You have to understand that the parasites that are holding the reins of power don't care about you at all. I mean, what? No, useless eaters. Okay, useless eaters. Cecil Rhodes, who is an archetypal parasite in that sense, said it best, because he called all these uneducated, his own people, not just people living elsewhere, like different colored people. No, his own people, the British, the uneducated, the working class, etc. He called them useless eaters. Useless eaters, right? Forget the humanity of it all. It's completely irrelevant. What is your worth? What is your breeding? What is your social standing? What's your social class? What are you?
Why do you think people from the United Kingdom hyphenate their names when they marry?
Oh, that's it.
Because they're keeping their status.
That's right, brother.
Can't be forgotten.
That's right. So, look, it's a really sobering, and this is why I said it's going to be serious, Platos Cave. It's a really sobering realization. I mean, I've been laboring under this for years, right? I know it's real. I have no doubt in my mind. Look, most people are corruptible. They are. I know personally, maybe 2 or 3 that are incorruptible, completely incorruptible as people, because that's just who they are. And I've seen evidence for this because I saw Temptation, and they just not interested.
Yeah.
But I think it's a tiny minority of us that are. The vast majority is corruptible, and power corrupts and absolute power corrupts. Absolutely, they say.
Mm-hmm.
The Caesars had a guy standing behind them as they, let's say, it was a triumphant, entry into Rome. They had won another war or conquered another country, right? And they would have behind them a man, usually a man, a slave, whispering, "Remember, you're mortal. Remember, you're mortal. Remember, you're mortal." No, it's the thing. It's the thing. It's the whisperer. It's usually a guy holding the laurels.
I wish that the majority of our politicians had a person behind them saying, "Don't be corrupt. Don't be corrupt."
I know. Wouldn't that be great? No, but this. I mean, you can say what you want about the Roman emperors. I mean, they were, bloodthirsty.
That's crazy. That's right.
They had that, which was meant to humble them. You know why Jewish people wear the little round head, or any hat really? The Hasidic Jews have a hat, like a proper, like a Stetson kind of thing.
Okay.
Do you know why they do that?
Not at all.
It's to remind them there's something above. To remind them there's something above. And again, all these little things that you realize that people do, because it is easy to start believing your own BS. Mm-hmm. If you start drinking your own lighter fluid, right? your own. Look at me. I'm so great, and you can see it.
Yeah, that's the reason why I have a comment about politicians who don't self-check their position down the left or right. When you don't self-check, you're on a moving vehicle. If you self-check, you can hit the brakes and go, okay, well, all right, I made that decision there, and that sends me towards the left. And you know what? I'm not that kind of person. I'm going to bring myself back again to center. I'm going to ground myself. And people don't do that. Politicians don't do it. I've seen people argue their way into a dead end. And they knew they were wrong to start, and they've tried to lie their way back out of it again.
That's another thing. Lies and lies and lies. Toward the end of the show, I do want to talk about Reagan.
I've got an update as well.
Perfect, just a smidge, because that's
I know.
Interesting. No, but I do want everybody, and look, I don't know how many of you are out there and how many are listening to us on any platform. Please don't be deceived. Don't be one of those sheeple or cows for that matter. I want to go to Bovine University. Sure you do. It's really
hello
important.
Nintendo charmers. Yeah.
These berries taste like burning. Yeah. The Simpsons. Look, we are
Super
capable
Nintendo
of great
charmers,
wit.
that's a quote.
Yeah, I recently watched the eulogy for Graham Chapman, who you might know as Brian from Life of Brian, Monty Python fame, etc. And it was delivered by initially John Cleese, and then a few of the others. Michael Palin spoke as well, and it was in true Monty Python style. It's not proper, there was this proper funeral, proper eulogy, and John Cleese started swearing and calling him a slacker and freeloader, and he said if you didn't do that, Graham Chapman would turn in his grave, because that's who he was, right? He was true to form, be irreverent and be controversial to the end. This was back in 1989, I think.
Wow.
When he died.
That's right.
Long time ago. But see, we are capable of great insight and wonderful thoughts and comedy and satire and as people, and we've been led away into this minefield. Actually, it's not a minefield; it's a desert of TikTok and shortened attention spans, and the inability to focus on important things, the inability to be critical in our thinking, in our actions, the inability to see through the BS, where we just believe things. Oh, well, the government would never do that. Based on what? Evidence.
That's right. What? History? Ow.
I mean, yeah, what?
Uh-huh.
Like, the government has always been very concerned with all of us. No. They really haven't. Never. Ever. In fact, the vote, both for men and women, was bought with blood. It was bought with blood. If you really look at the history of the world, we are now quite empowered in the West, at least. In other countries getting there, I guess, but we're quite empowered as individuals, right? But it has been completely corrupted. The power that we have is almost useless now. It's meaningless. Two-party systems have established themselves. For all intents and purposes, ruling families have established themselves across every nation, including America, where you've got the great families that, they're often, the senators and the Congress, men and women, and the presidents. I mean, you've got 300 million people, and the father and son managed to become both president.
Yeah.
That doesn't concern you? That doesn't. I mean, these guys hang out all the time. You know that, right? I don't care if they're Democrats or Libertarians or Republicans. They hang out. That's what they do because they're billionaires. They're rich parasites. And the entire system, as beautiful as it was in its conception, has been completely corrupted and turned on its head.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant, right? I mean, yeah, you vote, but does it really matter? First of all, the education is woefully inadequate. Nobody really understands how the political system works. I mean, nobody really, right?
And it doesn't work to the skills of your child.
Yeah. Look, we don't teach our children life skills in school. We don't. We teach them useless stuff, just so they can sit tests. Then we can, put them into some kind of template
menial
for the rest
job
of their life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead, what we should be doing is every child. No, okay. There's a fundamental truth which most people don't like. We're all different, and we all have different capabilities, and we're not the same. Do we all deserve the same chance? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Do we all have the same capability? No, we do not. We do not. But you deserve a chance to find out what it is that you are good at and that you want to do. You deserve that chance. I don't care how smart you are, how dumb, how physically talented, how short, how tall. It's irrelevant. You should have the chance to find out what your calling is. Let's say, your vocation. What is it that will fulfill you, make you a complete human being? But we don't have that. We have it for the few. We have it for the few, for the parasites specifically. They live while we exist. Okay, and some of us barely exist, and some of us don't manage to exist. They die off. They live beyond what you can imagine. Beyond, completely. And if you think about the tech available to them, every science fiction movie, every fantasy novel you've ever read, that's their life. Okay, and no, this is not hyperbole. I'm not exaggerating. This is exactly how it is. And they will do whatever they can, and have done so for a long, long time, to keep you away from it. Okay, the useless eaters. They don't want that for you. They don't want that for you. They want it for themselves and their kids, as it were. Not for you. You're just there. I mean, if you're useful, maybe you entertain them. Maybe you can. Be their servant. Okay, all right, okay, and we all buy into it. We all buy into a hierarchical society, all of us. Why? I have no respect for anyone richer than me. I have no respect for anyone more powerful than me, because I know what it took to get there. No respect, zero. There should be, and you know what? There shouldn't be any. See, remember the senator? Her name escapes me now. Was she a member? I don't know if she was a senator or not. Aboriginal lady, and she was heckling King Charles. And what was her name?
It
escapes me. I do apologize.
Fickle business, kid.
Yeah, but she
One
did.
day you're famous, the next day you're just like that guy.
That guy that fell down. No, but my point is not that her name matters, but what she did, her act mattered. And she did the right thing, because King Charles deserves zero respect. He is a child of mass murderers. maybe, 3, 4, 5 generations down the track, but he's a child of mass murderers, of slave owners, of oppressors, of torturers, of the worst kind of human being you can imagine. Because only those people made it to be king or queen. Nobody else. It's a bloody business. And it still is a bloody business. And none of these people deserve any innate respect. You know who deserves respect? People that do things that matter. Right? Without, like Fred Hoyle. Fred Hoyle, right? Ophthalmologist. Probably never heard of him, unless you're in Australia. Well, what did he do? Well, he was doing pretty okay as an ophthalmologist, And then he realized when he went to Southeast Asia, there's this condition that leaves a lot of people, especially children in Southeast Asia, blind. Now, it only cost $5 for the operation to fix that. But there's just no money there, and there's no people that can do it, right? So he went off. He did it. The Fred Hoyle organization, right? Off he went, and thousands of people can see because of him.
Hollows.
Sorry, Fred Hollows. Because of him. They can see because of him. That's someone who deserves respect. Okay? Right? Now we all foible. We all have our foibles. We're all not perfect, But some people do make a difference. Yeah, some people make a difference.
Yeah.
Now,
totally.
was Mother Teresa a saint? No, well, maybe not. But she did spend her time in the slums of Calcutta, right, with the poor and the indigent. Was she a perfect person? No, probably not. Probably not. The others, right? Look, for all his failures and shortcomings, Keanu Reeves at least leads a very humble life and very generous life as well.
Doesn't he? Yeah.
Right? And if you understand his background story, you go, wow, what a guy. I mean, you know what I mean? This is a real mensch. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But there are people these people exist, right? But we don't look at them. Look at that. We look at the soccer player. Look at them play soccer. We look at the other actors and actresses. We look at kings and queens and presidents and whatever. Those are the people we admire. Why?
There was a baseball player that was going to get $300 million contract.
Yeah, it's the highest ever, as far as I know. Right?
You saw that one, right? Yeah, that story.
Oh no, I did.
Yeah.
I did. And you have to ask yourself, where's the proportionality here? I mean, it's the same with soccer too. Where's the proportionality? Of course, it's a business. That's what it is. Everything has become a business, and only recently, Eisenhower warned us about this as he went out of office. Right?
Yeah.
Beware of the military-industrial complex. But
that's right.
Don't just think of it as in America. The military-industrial complex, the corporate mindset, right, is all pervasive now. And it's leading us into a death spiral. I do urge you to read Confessions of an Economic Hitman. I think it's the 3rd edition. Please read it. And you will understand why we live in the world that we live in. It's an all-pervasive ideology which will lead to our destruction. Full stop. I'm not a prophet. I'm not a negative Nelly. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. You cannot realize, unlimited profits in a limited system. Okay, now the parasites are going to be okay because, like I said, they're a couple of hundred years ahead of us in technology. They're going to be fine. We here, burning the fossil fuels and creating these toxic batteries and fighting each other over scraps of land. And I mean, why did 800,000 Russians have to die or be maimed? Why? Does that mean? Do you think they chose that? Do you think the Russians, said, "Oh, you know what? We should go into the Ukraine and we should lose 1 million people, young men, prime of the life, have them blown up or killed." That's a good idea. Do you think that's what the Russians thought? No. And Putin is not even read in. He's not part of the hidden Kabbalic parasites. This is a completely different kind of thing. But that's just, what? Don't you think that's a bit odd? Shouldn't we say, hey, well, maybe it's not such a good idea to do this? Or the Israelis are still bombing Gaza after over a year. What are you bombing? surely after a year and having turned the whole place into rubble, you've killed all of Hezbollah, all of Hamas, all of Islamic Jihad, all of the whatever. Well, PLO is no longer with us, but anyone surely that is a threat to you is no longer there. No, but you still do, and you still kill scores of civilians. Now, apparently, the official number is now at 45,000 civilians killed. And now, look. Dave, remember we discussed this, and I said I can tell you exactly what a human life is worth. Exactly, 100%, like to the penny.
Yeah.
And you do it by relative comparison. 1,200 Israelis equals 45,000 Palestinians.
That's
equals 5 Americans. Okay, that's about the math, right? That's what life is worth. And if you live south of the Sahel zone, your life is worth exactly nothing. Zero. Your life has no value at all. Right? That's sort of the southern part of Africa under the desert areas. Okay? Nothing. No value to your life as far as the corporations are concerned, except maybe for test subject in some new medical protocol. That's the world. And I every day I live with this knowledge, and it's not happy. It's not a happy knowledge, and it does make me angry. It does sort of sour my mood, and I try not to think about it too much. But that's almost impossible, Dave. You know that.
Oh, I totally know that. Did you know that there's a Newsweek story here from, I think it's today. It says there are also continuing high losses of Russian personnel, which, according to Kiev, are at 724,000, was rounding off, 1,000 dead and wounded in a recent daily average of around 1,500 casualties.
Holy cow. 50. I don't even know 1,500 people.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah, totally.
In my Facebook, how many people do I have? I don't know how many you have, Dave. I'll keep talking. I'll see how many people I got
about that many people, but I do cleanses every once in a while. But they tend to. There's some groups that I join, and I get a bunch of people in the group trying to be friends, and I try not to answer it. So, but you're automatically friends with people that you're in a group with that is set to a particular thing, I think, or something.
Yeah.
So
323 for me. 323.
Oh, good on you.
And I mean that's and then LinkedIn I've got a lot more, because anyone that you meet in business is automatically someone that you hang out with or whatever, or just in LinkedIn as a thing. I've got I think 1,600 in LinkedIn.
Yeah, right.
But again, that's but what we're saying is 1,500 a day. 1,500.
Oh, I've got 1,291 on Facebook. So that's not even 1,500 people.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So to make his point, of course, this is an example that they don't care. In fact, Russia doesn't care about the casualties that are amassing from North Korea or any other country that's fighting on their behalf. Could you imagine, in whatever country you're in right now, that your country should lose 724,000? They said within the next month it should be 750,000. That'd be 750,000. That's just
mind-boggling.
Do you remember, Maggie, the reason why the boomers were called the boomers?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of babies born after World War II.
But they were encouraged to try to populate as much as possible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because all of the people of breeding age were lost through the war.
Yeah.
You think about what this is going to do to Russia and Ukraine going forward.
Oh yeah.
Because humans are exponential in their growth. We don't replicate. I'm being nice. Replicate at 2 to 1, or even a 2 to 2. if you get to 2 to 3, then you're going to see a growth rate which is insane going a couple of generations from now. So, look, it's just to be considered and understood. That's all I'm saying.
But we are staring down into the barrel of a double-barreled shotgun pointed directly at our forehead. In many ways, and population is an issue. Not as big an issue as many people think. If our resources were distributed differently, but certainly, and the funny thing is this, right? What's the world going to look like when these kids are born? Let's say in the next 10 to 15 years, there'll be this huge population upspring, for argument's sake, in the Ukraine and Russia, depending on what happens. But what kind of Ukraine and what kind of Russia?
Well, you know what? Most of the farming land needs to be ploughed of munitions.
Oh, that too, yeah.
Think about how you won't be able to utilise that going forward. Yeah. All the unexploded. You think every single thing that you drop or shoot ends up blowing up? No.
We're still finding stuff from World War II,
I know. Yeah. So, look, it's a concern. It's a concern about what let's call it the breadbasket of the planet.
Yeah. Look. Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I discovered that during this conflict, which I never knew.
Yeah. But it is. I mean, that was special deals done. Remember the grain shipments?
That's right.
That were meant to be let through, etc. And there was a huge. I mean, there was most of the grain went to Southeast Asia. Indonesia was a big customer. Other countries as well.
Africa. I remember there was. Yeah.
So, look, there's a knock-on effect, of course, here, and again, it's about power and money, and they go hand in hand. Money and power. Power. It doesn't matter what modicum of wealth you have, what form of wealth you have. Power comes with it. If you get seashells or gold, pearls or funny colored rocks or money, it doesn't matter, right? Something, and it is that hunger for power and that this greed. Greed is the fundamental evil. Right, the greed for anything, the greed for power, the greed for food, the greed for, wealth. It doesn't matter. But it is the fundamental thing that is wrong with society and the way we live our lives. I often try to imagine how the ancients lived their lives. I look at the things they built, right? Mm-hmm. These massive structures, and I'm thinking, clearly there was. I mean, they had, similar thought processes to us. I mean, if they were human, they were, like us, they had motivations, but maybe they had found a better way of life, a better way of existing than we have found, right? And I look at some of these things, and they seem so, I don't know, they feel so familiar to me, right? I look at some of these things in, especially South America, these ancient stone structures, like, canals, for example, or even the walls. And you go, this is just, it's beautiful. It's actually beautiful. I love it. I mean, it's aesthetically pleasing to me to look at these things. And I don't know, it's just this great peace that sort of comes over me when I see it. It's got a certain aura of permanence as well, and certainty, when you look at these structures. Anyway.
Hey, I've got to make an announcement. I've got to make an announcement.
Go ahead.
Sean David Morton has passed away.
What?
Yeah.
When?
Yesterday.
Oh, good Lord, another one.
Yeah, that's right. So another host from Revolution Radio. Sean David Morton, PhD, left this mortal realm on December 18th, 2024. That's US time. After a long, valiant fight against cancer, he was born on October 1st, 1958 in Santa Monica, California. There's a whole...
65.
Yeah.
The 60s. Wow.
He'll just go on to the list. And
it's an unusually long list, you know.
It is for such a small team. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I'm painfully aware. Yeah, look, it's makes you wonder: should we do this? Is this worthwhile doing? And the answer for me is yes.
Yeah.
For me, I can only speak for myself. I would never drag anyone else into this.
Oh, that reminds me of that phone call. Hey, Mickey, we got a radio show. All those years ago.
Oh, what? Didn't think we'd last much past the first couple of weeks, to be honest with you.
That's right. Surely I'll just turn the mics down and run a rerun of someone else's show. Yeah.
No one will ever know this. That's funny. But hey, this has been pretty dark, and our condolences, of course, our thoughts and prayers and love go to whoever was close to Sean.
His wife.
And yes, and look, he was an activist.
They run some reruns. If you look at the schedule on Revolution Radio, they have some reruns of his shows on. So do you catch those on Studio B?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And like many people on this station, he was an activist. I guess we are activists, Dave. I never really thought of myself as an activist
until now.
Maybe we are. But to lighten the mood just a little before we let you go for this wonderful Thursday, we do want to talk about Reagan and hope she won't sue us. I don't think she'll sue us, but I watched this expose by the comedian that you sent me, I think.
Yes.
And it's a smart little thing, and they picking apart pretty much everything she said.
Mm-hmm.
And just to set the scene, and then I want you to take over because you got more background than I. But essentially, there was this lady, Australian comedian, and she thought that Reagan was a bit of an Australian icon. In Australia, though, we've got a culture of larrikinism, which is a culture of irreverent humor. It's probably best, right?
That's right.
If you're in the public eye, then people will make fun of you, but not in a nasty way like a roast necessarily, but no. To both elevate and commentate. And so she she intended to put on a musical.
Yes.
Called I think it's called
Reagan, the musical.
Yeah, that's right.
And Reagan is Rachel Gunn, and she calls herself Reagan.
Yeah, absolutely. But I guess Reagan and her, she has a legal team and a manager, and she's got more staff than you and me, Dave. You're just like,
that's right.
But so okay, fair enough. So clearly she must be in the money. Clearly she is in the money, right? So she had an injunction filed that led to the pulling of the preview show.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Yeah. The show
the preview show went ahead.
Did it?
Yeah, it went ahead, and it made $500 in profit. It was only 50 seats. 50 seats, $10 a ticket, $500, and the comedy venue said when they were told that they needed to pay $10,000, they said, "Well, we only made $500. Do you want that?" and her legal team allegedly said, "No, we want the $10,000." And not only that, but she's Reagan, apparently through her legal team, has trademarked the pose of the kangaroo thing that she did.
Actually, she trademarked the silhouette.
The silhouette, that's right. Which happened to be an exact grab from the poster.
Yes. And
she launched it on the same day as they launched the poster for the show. which is funny because it was the exact pose. It wasn't an artist impression. It was the exact one. So, I've got. There's a story here. I'm sorry to cut you off, Mackie, but there's a story here, and it says cash grab, and this is from Channel 7 News Inside Media Show. I've got a screenshot there, and this fellow talks about his term cash grab that he's referring to as, well, they didn't accept the $500, demanded $10,000, and that's for the legal fees, right? That's one thing. But there was another thing that Reagan did on the same day. She decided to own the story and put out a competition for someone that can dance just like her, doing the same pose, and she would give them prize money.
Really?
Yes, 100%. So in that comedian that I sent you that did the whole story, he's done a follow-up, and you'll see all that detail in there. However, today, this is only 2 hours ago, Sky News Australia has stepped up the game, and they've now got, and if you watch this on YouTube, Becky, I can't kind of cut the screen, but I'll show you after the show. They've now relaunched the musical, and instead of being called Reagan the Musical, it's now called Breaking the Musical. A completely legal parody musical, it says. And it's got a kangaroo doing the kangaroo pose instead of the dancer. And they've just basically removed Reagan's title from it, and the rest of it is fair game. And I think that, and it now, instead of being in a single venue, now it's in Adelaide, Melbourne, and Sydney.
Nice.
So they've got a legal team now and have put together what they believe is satire, and it's legally protected in Australia. You should be able to satire somebody and or lampoon them, or whatever the term you find comfortable with in your country.
Oh no, parody is allowed by law, yeah.
And parody is you're allowed. So by trademarking it to try to stop it, and then an injunction, a cease assist, and all of these methods, but at the same time promoting a dance off where people are going to dress like her, dance like her, and do the moves like her, and she would give them a prize. That's flies in the face of what she was trying to do, which was called, she named it in the last video, of protecting her brand.
Yeah.
She wants to protect her brand, but she was supporting the same thing. So I then watched the last thing. I watched a body language expert going through her apology. And he just ripped it to pieces. He found everything in there that, and I do ask you to go and find that on your own. I think it's body language expert, and you just type Reagan and voila, there it is. So, look, to be honest, it does seem to make the cash grab statement from Channel 7, allegedly, seem plausible. It's the way I'm going to word this, because if she was putting up prize money, maybe some of that would go there and it wasn't all legal fees. Maybe it's just a big ask. But what it was going to do was bankrupt a venue, because they would not be able to operate. They weren't even making money. In fact, the money was going to a woman's shelter. That's where the money was destined. The profit from the actual comedy, satire, satirical parody show was going to go to a woman's shelter.
Think about that for a second.
And there's music.
Oh, that's the music, man. That went quick again. Now, hopefully that lifted your spirits just a little bit. Not too much, just a little. This has been Platos Cave, and our mission is to pull back the curtain pull back the curtain. That's our mission here in Platos Cave. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And don't go anywhere. I'm sure something else is going to come up that's going to be awesome. And you're going to hear us again on Sunday for Training Set Out. But most of all,
be safe.